You are listening to Chai with the CEO, a Random Genius Media original.
Welcome, Meenakshi Menon, to Chai with the CEO. For the moment, we will soon call it Beverage with the Boss, as you have suggested. But for the moment, chai to that. And before we go ahead, for the one person who does not know you, we're going to play a little intro. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't know me, Sheldon. There fewer people know me than don't know me. So
Today's guest is a media maven who's gone from measuring TRPs to measuring joy. She's the woman who made media buying a boardroom sport, from launching Kara Media in India to founding Spatial Access. She's been the quiet storm behind some of the loudest brands on your screen. But just when you thought she'd hang up her boots, she laced up a new pair and walked straight into the hearts of India's 60-plus generation. As the founder and CEO of GenSxty, Meenakshi Menon is on a mission to make aging cool, connected, and full of chai-fueled antakshari. She's built businesses, challenged norms, and now she's building a movement where retirement means reinvention and senior citizen means seasoned rock star. So pour yourself a hot cup of chai and get ready to meet the media legend turned purpose pioneer, Meenakshi Menon.
So we cue the applause and we welcome you to Chai with the CEO. That was my daughter, Isabella. And she always insists on doing a perfect take. So I hope you
she's
approve.
done an amazing job of it. But I think the script writer needs to be fired. The voice artist was fantastic. The script writer needs to be fired because seriously, that's not who I am. I'm just another ordinary person trying to do an extraordinary job.
Correct. Okay, so the script writer shall be fired with immediate effect. No, what do they say? No probation or no notice period. No notice period.
No
Fired
notice period.
on the spot, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll have to shut down this interview, and I think you'll have to talk to yourself. But I know you don't like the adjectives, but you have in many ways dominated the media landscape. I think nobody in the media landscape would not know of Meenakshi Menon. And we're not going to delve too deeply in that space. I think people know of you, and what we'd like to know is more of what you are up to right now, what you're so excited about, and I was witness to the Sunday morning webinar that you did, and that's really what got me thinking that I definitely need to have a chat with you. Of course, we got to know each other, and I should give credit to my late uncle, Julian, because of whom I reached out to you, and you were kind enough to give me advice in the matter. Of course, he's since passed on, but I believe that you are championing a very, very noble cause and one that is so important, especially in our country, right? Where senior citizens don't really have a path forward and are not really given their due. So we're here to talk to you a little bit more about that. But before we get started, Meenakshi Menon, what does freedom mean to you?
That's a very interesting question because freedom means different things to different people. Okay. To somebody who's hungry, it means the ability to have a meal. To somebody who has more than enough money in the world, it means the ability to walk around unknown, right? So it's different things to different people. To me, freedom is the ability to take decisions, okay, on my own that affect my life. So decisions about things that I want to do. I believe that I have earned the privilege of taking those decisions on my own. I believe that is the ultimate freedom of being able to say, I want to do this, and being able to do it. So in many ways, freedom is empowering because
Yeah.
it allows you to flourish. It allows you to grow. But it also is important for you to understand your restrictions, because every thing that comes has to come with its guardrails. So freedom needs its guardrails. So I have the freedom to live life on my own terms, but not if it makes others unhappy. I have the freedom to do the things that I want to do, but not if it means squashing somebody else's dreams. I have the freedom to live my life, okay, every single day with the things that I want to surround myself with, but not if it means demeaning another human being.
Correct. Correct.
So those are the guardrails that we really need to understand.
So, on that, staying on that thought, do you think senior citizens today have freedom? Though
No,
we live in a democracy, do you think that they have freedom?
no, no. I don't think seniors have freedom. And for a variety of reasons. Okay, there is, with every individual, there's so much of what we take on for ourselves, and there's so much of what society puts on us. Okay. So when I look at a situation like freedom for seniors, society tells them you are gone past your sell-by date. Society says now you're on the shelf. Society says move out of the way. Society says you're blocking the next generation, right? There are all of these negatives that society says. But these negatives very often come out of a cultural context. The problem is that even though you may not agree with that cultural context, a lot of people end up accepting that cultural context. Because when you keep saying, oh, you're old, you're frail, you're feeble, you start feeling old and frail and feeble. And then if you're told, oh, but as you get older, your knees are bound to pain, you're bound to feel weak, you're bound to feel tired, that narrative starts playing on in your mind, and you start internalizing the narrative, even though it's negative, even though it actually is BS.
Yeah.
I have seen in my life more frail 40-year-olds than 60-year-olds, right? But nobody
True.
depicts a 40-year-old as being frail. I have seen, 50-year-olds who get out of bed every morning moaning and groaning because they've got aches and pains. But society doesn't say if you're 50, you got aches and pains. They say if you're 60, if you're 70, yes, you're bound to have aches and pains. Now, the thing is, there is a certain amount of degeneration that takes place in the body. And in fact, the weird thing is that degeneration in the body is compensated for by actual development in the brain. So today, everybody talks about neural networks. The fact of the matter is the neural networks in our brain get better and better and better over time, particularly if you continue to use your brain. So problem solving when you're 60 takes a very different perspective than when you're 20 or 30 or 40.
It's a very, very important point. I think something that you've brought up. So coming to your strategy of, we'll come to how you came to create GenSxty, the journey thus far. But how have you been building out the GenSxty? The tribe, the GenSxty tribe, as you call them, the Gen S tribe, and is that strategy working?
So the first thing is to understand the scale of the problem or the scale of the opportunity. I mean, every problem is an opportunity in disguise, right? So we have a country where we have 150 million 60 plus people. Now that 150 million is the number as of 22. So as of 25, as we speak, number could be 151 million, 52 million. I don't know the exact number, but let's say it's 150 million. 150 million is 5 Australias. That's the scale of the problem. Now, that 150 million is not a homogeneous mass. Okay.
Right.
It's like, every molecule of coffee in this cup is exactly like every other molecule, right? But that's not true of human beings. You are not the same as another 40-year-old. I'm not the same as another 66-year-old. So each of us is different. So the group of 150 million people is broken down into different cohorts. There is one group of people who have the money, have the health, have the willingness, have the desire, have the ability to deliver and live that life. There's another group that is still struggling and working and having to work, your blue collar, your daily wage laborers. Then there's another group that is actually very deprived. But that's true of all society, right? So the point is, when you look at the 50 million who are the consuming class, that 50 million who are the consuming class are actually the opportunity. Now, traditionally, we always said that when you're old, you're over, your life is over. But today, what is happening is we are living longer and longer,
Correct.
Sheldon. I mean,
Correct.
the average lifespan is increasing. Now, I can guarantee you that when you were a 20-year-old, you didn't know too many 90-year-old people. But today, as a 40-year-old, you'd probably know at least 10 to 12 90-year-olds minimum, right? So we are living longer. Now, as we live longer, we need to be prepared for longer lifespans. And how do we prepare for these longer lifespans? We prepare by looking at ourselves and looking at what it is that we need to do to live longer. Our society has always looked outward. We've always said, oh, my children are there, my grandchildren are there, my relatives are there, my siblings are there. But today what is happening is that traditional model of care is falling apart. People are moving. Migration has increased dramatically. Sizes of families are reducing. So if I look at my parents, for instance, my mother had 6 brothers and sisters. My dad was one of 12, right? So when they got old, there was somebody or the other around. Now I'm one of 3. And both my brothers are no more. And my daughter is one of 1. So you're looking at the way progression, right? From, let's say, 9 to 3 to 1. And there are some who have none.
Correct. Correct.
So you can't depend on the next generation to look out for you. And indeed, I can't come across, can't remember a single parent I've come across who said, no, I want to be a burden on my child. Nobody says that. They don't want to be a burden on anybody. But how can they manage if we don't have access to services? And that's where we come into the picture. And if India is aging, and we have more and more people who don't have the traditional safety net, what is it that we can do for them? Because Sheldon, this is not a problem that you are going to face or I'm going to face. This is a problem that 1 billion Indians are going to face.
Yeah.
And we need to solve for the 1 billion Indians. And
True.
that's why I keep saying this is a movement. I'm not selling a product. I'm not selling a platform.
Yeah.
I'm using technology to build a robust solution to a social problem.
True.
And that's where the evangelical fervor comes into the picture.
Yeah. So if I may just ask you, where did the inspiration for GenSxty come from? Was it a personal incident that precipitated, you wanting to, or something that happened that made you decide to take this path?
It was a personal experience, and I must tell you, and those 2.5 people who know me know I am, physically vibrant, alive. I have always been, over the years, ever since I've been a child, I've been physically somebody who's been very fit, into sports, into all kinds of things, right? But I am old, and I'm lucky I'm old, right? There are a lot of people who are not lucky enough to get to my stage. I mean, ask somebody who's had a heart attack and died when they're 40, ask their family what it feels like to lose somebody in the prime of their life. But I'm lucky I'm alive. And I went into a store to buy a iPhone. And as I walked into the store, I was, probably looked a little tired and old. And I walked in with a cotton sari and a theli. And the salesman came up to me and said, Maji kya chahiye aapko? And I said, I want an iPhone, beta. Can you help me? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, आपके लिए ज़्यादा sophisticated नहीं रहेगा iPhone. And he was doing it out of the kindness of his heart. Okay,
Correct,
it was
correct.
like, let me guide this poor misguided old woman, and he was being kind. And of course, I got offended because I'm easily offended when something like that happens. And I whipped out my iPad and I showed him my iWatch and I said, "Look, I am familiar with the Mac system." And so he was chastened enough to go back, and I did my transaction. But that opened my eyes and it got me thinking. Okay, it got me observing. See, very often you don't understand the nuanced, slides that take place. That got me thinking. It got me to a stage where I started looking around me and saying, okay, that's ageism, that's ageism, that's ageism. And actually learning the nuances and understanding, then I started talking to people because I genuinely believe in research. See, ultimately, as a marketer, it's never about you.
Correct.
It's always about the consumer, right?
Correct.
You never design a product for yourself because if you did, then you'd have one customer.
Correct.
You design a product or a service for the mass. So when I started investigating this, I realized that everybody was feeling it. It's somehow or the other, as you get old, you just start being treated like you don't exist. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people continue to color their hair because they don't want to be treated like second-class citizens.
Mm.
And that's another reason why the entire beauty industry tries to make you feel that, you're not good enough for everybody. Wrinkles are not good. Saggy bellies are not good. Saggy arms, a turtleneck is not good. But the fact of the matter is, this is a natural process. Aging is a privilege. Why would you think a privilege is bad? I have yet to come across anybody who looks at a baby and says, "Oh my God, this is a liability. I have to clean them, feed them, bathe them, carry them," right? But nobody ever looks at a baby as a liability. A baby is seen as a thing of joy. It's the next generation who enjoy them. Aging people are at the sunset of their life. They have their role to play. They have to enjoy themselves and you have to enjoy them. And that's the tragedy of our society today. A tree never stays the way it is. If it does, it's dead. Human beings can't stay the way they are. They have to change, they have to evolve. And today with medical interventions getting so good, people are living longer and longer and longer. And they need to be able to have a life. I mean, imagine you retire at 60 and you die at 90. That's 30 years of nothingness.
Mm.
How cruel is that?
Yeah. Yeah. True. True.
So that's what we collectively, and this is not something that me or my team or my company can do. This is something we collectively as a society need to do. We need to address this fact. We need to address the elephant in the room. India is aging.
Yeah.
We do not have a safety net for our seniors. Okay. We cannot depend on filial love and devotion to address this need. While we can, while the problem has not become a huge insurmountable issue, we need to address it. And that is the fundamental reason why we have priced our platform at only 990 a year. It is so cheap. It's not reasonable, it's cheap. And the
Yeah.
whole idea is to make it so cheap that it becomes a no-brainer. I want the Memsab of Malabar Hill to join us and go on a 10 lakh travel package, chasing giraffes and zebras in Africa, right? I want Manju Ben from Mulund to come on board and do a 90,000 trip to Dwarka. And I want Minal Tai from Meera Road to come on board and maybe do a 20,000 trip to Malsej Ghat.
Lovely.
But the idea is that every service that you need. So when you do a blood test, right, it doesn't matter whether you live in Malabar Hill or Meera Road. If you need to get a blood test, you will go and get a blood test. So we tied up with Metropolis.
Yes.
And we are giving 15% off to everybody who's a member of our platform. Now, I want to use you as an ambassador to actually talk to institutions, because I'm saying I'm doing all of this, right? I want institutions also to benefit. I want old people's homes. I want senior citizens' homes, senior citizens' communities to benefit, to become institutional members.
Yeah.
So
And
that
it's so needed, because I think like we've established that India is aging, and it is not a problem of a few. It is not a situation of a few. It is a situation of many, right?
many.
And I think, how do you address the I'll give you so how do you address the problem of people thinking this is another WhatsApp group? Have you heard that? That, oh, I don't want to join another WhatsApp group, or I don't want to join another community. How do you address that?
No, we haven't heard that,
Okay.
number one. Number two is only an idiot would think it's a WhatsApp group. And old people are not idiots. They
And
may
old
be a
people are
little
not.
slow,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is an entire community.
It
It
is
is a community that, okay, how do you define a community? Right? A community is a gathering of people who have something in common, right? Who very loosely are linked together and who are willing to support and help each other. That is a community. There's something that brings us all together. Seems disorganized, but in reality, communities are highly organized and they develop their own organizational structures, right, within the community. So we see this as a resource for everybody.
correct.
The other day we had a program, Sheldon, and this was one of those amazing things. We have a multi-faith program in the morning on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. Okay. It's called Ek Sur, and it's multi-faith devotional songs. And after the program was over, we were having a little conversation with each other, and there was this elderly Sardar gentleman who broke down and he said, you know, I'm alone in the world. There's nobody with me. And he was weeping. And All of us, I was on that show that day, and all of us who were there, we all wept. I got emotional, and I told them, I said, you may not have a family, but we are your family. We are here for you. And everybody else who was on that morning show said, we are here for you. Reach out to us. What we are counting on is the innate goodness of human beings.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about, no, this is a thug, this is a chore, this is a that, this is that. No, I say every human being is a good human being. We need to give them an environment in which they can flourish. And that's our mission. As a community, we give everybody the support they need. Of course, there will be bad eggs. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it would be stupid to expect that everybody is, loving and kind and considerate. No, of course not. But does that stop you from being loving and kind and considerate? Not at all.
So I should mention here that the Gen S app is available on iOS and Android, and you have put in very stringent checks and balances to ensure that only verified seniors can get in, and the way you do that is obviously by asking for some form of government issued authentication, right?
That's
ID
right. That's right.
as part of the process. I know because I bought two memberships and I gifted them to seniors. And the person I finally ended up gifting it to was very, very happy to have received it. She is my wife's director, and she didn't know that such a community existed, and she was so happy to know that it existed. And she is actually very close to her retirement, so it I guess it almost came like a lifeline. Her name, I don't want to mention names, but the thing is that I feel that this will be a lifeline for so many seniors
Yeah.
who may
Yeah.
not have a plan. Like, I do another show called Conversations with Wisdom, where I started talking to senior citizens about 3 or 4 years back. You know about this a little enterprise or show that I do, and one of the gentlemen I spoke to is a neighbor of mine, Uncle Steve, and he decided 1 year before his superannuation that he would learn trading in the stock market because he was planning for retirement, and he went and sort of trained under a broker, and he also started learning how to make bonsai plants. And his advice to me was, do it but charge for it, don't give anything for free. But I what I was amazed at was that he had a plan. A lot of, I'm guessing that a lot of seniors, it catches you by surprise. I mean, all of a sudden, I find myself the father of a teenager, and I
Right.
never planned for it, right? I mean, life keeps moving. I think we think of ourselves as a particular age in our mind, but life keeps moving, and all of a sudden, you realize, man, I have a teenager. When did this happen, right? And he's going to college. I never thought he would grow this big, right? So I can imagine. I mean, obviously, you fast forward a few years. In 20 years, I'll be 67, right? Um, do I have a plan? Not really, but am I now at least aware that I need to have a plan? Of course. And going through your app gives me so much confidence. You guys have thought of everything, right? From finance to, leisure to travel, uh, to devotion and faith. I think everything is very, very detailed and covered. And
Yeah. As you
kudos.
see, the thing is, life happens while you're busy with other things.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the problem is that we very rarely plan for our lives. The funny thing is, in India, or maybe everywhere else, but I don't know about other countries, but in India for sure, you're encouraged to plan. When you're a little kid, you are encouraged to train for your school admissions, right? So you start training for school admissions the minute the child can, barely walk. he or she's learned to say A, B, C, D, K, K, G, and you want to make them, you train them for school. Then you train them for their job. You train them for college. You train them at each stage, you train them, but you don't train people for life.
Yes.
You train them for the stages, but the stages are just finite points in your life. And you can't be trained for a finite point and not be trained for what follows after that. And this is the thing with retirement. A lot of people who are employed have this big chasm in their lives when they retire. There's this giant vacuum. You'll be surprised, Sheldon, the number of silver divorces we are seeing, where as long as the husband and wife were working, they were out of each other's hair.
Yeah.
And now the husband is at home. Maybe the wife also is at home because she's retired, he's retired. Maybe the wife never worked. And suddenly now, I've seen this with friends of mine where they say, I can't understand what gives him the right to come and tell me how things need to be managed at home. I've managed the house all these years, right? In many other cases, people hate their partners, but they've stayed together because of the children. And now the children are married and gone off, and they're saying, you know what? I don't want another moment with this person. So silver divorces are happening. A lot of them. And the fact of the matter is that we don't train people. We don't teach them. What do you do? Retirement is like falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
One day you're working, the next day you're sitting at home with your certificate and your watch or whatever it is you got, 20 years service, 25 years service. And you
Yeah.
say, what am I going to do with my life?
Correct.
And then maybe you travel. Like,
Correct.
in fact, our executive director, ED, a wonderful 4G submariner, okay? Retired from the Navy, got into corporate India, had a fabulous corporate career, retired from his corporate career, said, I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to have a blast. He traveled the world for 6 months. At the end of which, it was like, okay, now what am I going to do? People don't realize that unless you have purpose, you're poverty stricken. It doesn't matter what your money is. It doesn't matter how much savings you have. Zero purpose equals poverty. And that is what I want every senior to understand. Find purpose. Revive your passion. Find that playfulness. In each and every one of us is a little child waiting to get out, right? Encourage that child to get out. Because you need to live each day like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And after you're 60 or 65 or 70, there are going to be fewer tomorrows. I mean, that's a given, right?
That's a given. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a given. You know there are fewer tomorrows. So why don't you make the most of the ones you have? One
True.
of my dear friends has calculated, saying that, okay, I'll probably live, given life expectancies, I'll probably live till 80. He's about 68 now. And he says, okay, so I have so many hours. Okay, so many days, so many hours. I don't want to waste it on irrelevant stuff. So he's like now become obnoxious because he says, no, this is eating away my time. I don't want to spend any time on that. Get to the point.
Get to the point. Get to the
Yeah.
point. But I do believe that that is a skill that they should be teaching at school, right? I think right from your days in school to be very judicious about your time, because we live in a world. I mean, both of us are guilty of being part of the media and bringing these all these shows to the big screen, small screen, and smaller screen, and just chewing away at people's time. But you need to learn how to be judicious about your time and what you're doing. And the earlier you find your purpose, the better it is. I mean, of course, nobody has the ultimate formula. It's a very personal kind of crusade, right? And I would, you've talked about how you found your mission in GenSxty. What would be your advice to seniors? I mean, just
So there is one thing before I get into advice to seniors. There's one thing I'd like to share with you.
sure.
I always believe when people talk to me about this, that there is one thing that I have in common with Mukesh Ambani or Elon Musk, okay, or Narendra Modi, or the Jhaduwalu who comes to do the Jhadu Katka in my house, right? The lady who comes to do Jhadu Katka in my house. All of us have one thing in common. And that is the fact that for all of us, there are 24 hours in the day.
Correct. Correct. I thought you were going to say green hair,
No.
but Mukesh Ambani does not have green hair. So
24 hours in the day. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a human being, you have 24 hours in the day.
correct.
Now, what we do with those 24 hours is very different. Our struggles in those 24 hours are very different. Our priorities, our concerns are very different. But the fact of the matter is we all have the same amount of time. And it is our responsibility to use that time to the best of our ability. Isn't it?
True. True. Very true.
Because at the end of the day, it's what we do with the time we have that makes us who we are or who we are not.
True. Very
So
stately
that is
observation. Yes.
that is a insight that basically drives me, because for me it's a question of what can I do today? What can I achieve today? Not for anybody else, not for the rest of the world, but for myself. So that when I go to bed in the night, I can feel, that was a day you used well. Because ultimately, it's a question of what we use it for. I can use it to lose my temper with people, or I can use it to tell somebody I care for them. I can use it to run down everything around me that needs to be run down. Or I can say, I use it to build up
Yeah. Yeah.
what needs to be built up.
Nicely
It's a
put.
very simple lesson.
So, what are Meenakshi Menon's current top priorities? What drives you? What gets you out of bed every morning? Of course, growing the Gen S tribe for sure. But give us a inside peek into your to-do list.
I lead a very humdrum, simple life. I am completely and totally focused on the labor of love that I'm working on right now, which is growing the Gen S community, taking it across the country, getting people to understand that, the 60 to 70 decade, okay, is the most critical decade in their life. If in this decade they take the right steps, right? They're physically fit, they're mentally fit, they're emotionally anchored, then the rest of what follows after 70 is good. But if you don't do that, if you're physically not fit, if you're emotionally not anchored, if you're financially not careful, then life after 75 can be very, very difficult. And today we are living longer. And as you get older, your expenses increase, right? You don't think about medical when you're in your 30s or 40s, but as you get older, suddenly these things start becoming part of your lexicon, so to speak.
Correct.
So for me, every day is basically the passion that I have for the project that I'm working on. I am an absolutely avid deep sea diver. But I've put that on hold. Okay, for this. I think the last time I went diving was in September 23.
Oh,
After that,
yep.
yeah, I haven't gone diving. I'm hopefully going off in August of this year. But, for me to not go diving for almost 2 years is like intense because I would otherwise be diving 3 to 4 times a year. So I put that on hold. I'm an organic farmer. I would be spending every alternate weekend on my farm, working with my hands in the soil. I put that on hold. Okay. But I don't think I've put my life on hold. I've just put these passions on hold because this project is, Sheldon, it's not important only to me. My diving is important to me. My organic farming is important to me. GenSxty is important for my entire cohort. Everybody who's 60 plus in this country. I carry a sense of responsibility towards them. And that's why when I put my life on hold for this purpose, I don't see it as deprivation. I see it as a privilege. I see it as an incredible blessing from the universe that I am in a position to be able to do something like that. So for me, this whole journey has been a very spiritual journey.
Nice. So do you have any advice for, upcoming or upcoming entrepreneurs? And the other follow-up question is, do you think the next unicorn is sitting on a bench somewhere?
I think this obsession with unicorns, okay, should be, it's such BS.
Yes.
Okay, complete BS. Look at so many of the companies that have gone belly up, who are touted to be unicorns, right? But they don't have soul. They did not have a purpose. You cannot have profit as being your only motive. If profit is your only motive, you're doomed to failure, right? It can't be personal profit. It cannot be professional profit. You can't sell a product that does not have a role to play in society. So I find this obsession with unicorns and, this whole thing about startup and this and that, and everybody and his dog wants to become a startup and a founder. It is not that easy, number one. Number two is, if you become a unicorn, that's great, fantastic. But my question to a lot of these companies who tout, oh, we are unicorns in the making is, are you improving society?
Yeah. Are you solving a real problem, or
Are you solving a real problem?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it that you're doing? And
Point.
if it's just a question of making money, then, be clear.
Sell drugs. Sell
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah, sell drugs. Absolutely.
Rob a bank.
So that's the thing about unicorns, right?
So your advice to entrepreneurs would be find soul in what you
Correct.
do.
Correct. Find soul in what you do. Find purpose in what you do. Okay. Solve for society and you will benefit. Maybe I'm too idealistic, but every company that I have ever set up has been set up to address a social issue. Every company. So that's my principle, right? I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. You asked me what advice I would give, and I'm saying this is my way. And this is the way it's operated for me. And I would like to believe that this is the way it's operated for most people. Find a reason to justify your existence. And it's not just making money.
Nice. Nicely put. I'm just glancing through the questions that the scriptwriter wrote to see if there are any meaningful ones there. But the one who's been fired, um, I think we've covered a lot of it. And I mean, we've spoken about your past, about Gen S. We know that it's a great place. I'll scroll the URL as well, and
Yeah.
where people can sort of get more information and the number that they can call. By the way, Supriya and your team is very, very helpful.
Thank you.
She really helped me, answer a lot of questions. Uh, Called up a few seniors whom I thought needed to be a part of the Gen S community, but
Wonderful.
yeah, but she had to give up. I warned her that they would be tough nuts to crack, but
That's okay. That's
yeah,
okay. Look,
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's my job to tell everybody that
correct,
we are here,
correct,
right?
correct.
You can only take a horse to the water.
Water, you can't make
You
it.
can't make it drink. My responsibility is to make sure that everybody knows that we exist.
Yes,
They know why we exist and they know what value we can deliver to them.
yes,
After that, if they still choose to not join in, it's perfectly fine.
yes.
It's a free world. It's a democratic country
It's
we
a
live
free
in.
world. Yes. You can color your hair red, I'll color mine green, and we'll all
Absolutely. And we will agree to disagree
and we will
if
agree
it comes
to-
to that,
we will
right?
agree.
But we will do that with civility and with respect.
Yes. Yes.
That is the fundamental social truth. And that's really the problem. The respect that you need to have even within the family is fast eroding. Children don't respect their parents. Parents don't respect their children. It's a
True.
recipe for disaster.
True. Done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Meenakshi. We have
Great.
a small surprise for you, but you'll have to watch the episode
Okay.
to sample it. I'm not going to let you in on what the surprise is, but
Okay.
once the episode and the edit is done, I'll send you the link and you'll know then.
Sure.
Thank you so
Look
much for your
forward.
time. Thank
All
you.
right.
Please keep doing what you're doing. We're really, really benefiting from that. And it's so much,
you.
it's a much needed service. And I'm glad somebody took up. I'm glad the watchman or the security guard at the Apple store walked up to you and called you Benji.
Oh dear, no, it
Yeah.
wasn't the guy at the Apple store, it was the guy at Chroma.
At Chroma.
I'm eternally grateful to Chroma for doing that.
Yes. Just for that, I will go and buy another phone from Chroma.
You should.
You should. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Take
so
care.
much.
Take care, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
She's a legend in the media world, buying spots with banners unfurled. From carrot days to special access, she kept those planners under stress. But oh, behind that fierce facade, she's kindness wrapped in a knot. Trading TV deals for something brighter, a mission now that's so much lighter. From Bombay to Calcutta, Kanyakumari to the Himalayas, she's building something truly fine, a 60+ club that feels divine. Gens is the vibe, come take the ride, where aging's cool and love's the guide. Yoga mats and karaoke nights, book club sparking deep delights, and talk shari with chai on the side. She's turning silver years into pride, a hug for those who've lost their spark, a guiding hand when things get dark. She's proof that age is just a page in a book that only gets better with age. Forget the rocking chair cliche, we're dancing through our golden days. With Meenakshi at the helm so wise, we're soaring into sunset sky. From Bombay to Calcutta, blood.